Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event FightCast. We're gonna for sure be more exciting than this fight, these fights this weekend, because holy smokes, that was crazy. I mean, so it's unfortunate to end up with a card like that when you have a fight like towards the beginning, like Puja and Shauna.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Right, because that was a banger.
Those are exciting.
It was stupid. That we haven't given a bozo of the night in a long time, but that one 100% gets bozo of the night, bro. Like, how did she put? How did like? All right.
I think bozo fits more when somebody is more suited to do something else and don't do it.
You're fighting in the UFC,
we don't know how good
you're fighting in the UFC. You should. From my
Her
perspective,
jiu-jitsu might be that bad.
My perspective, you should at least be in a position where once you are out of a submission, you can get away.
She had to understand the stack was there.
Understand the stack. Understand when she swiveled around. She swiveled around and was even higher up. Her elbow was bent. It was no longer in danger. And then she threw herself over. Like, bro, like, I don't even understand, like, what level of jiu-jitsu you have to be to do that, bro.
She didn't throw herself up over. I think she tried to get up too late and fell.
I don't know. Look, you need a lot of trajectory to land the way that she landed. She flipped all the way over.
It was bad.
If she just tripped and landed on, like, she would have just stumbled, fell on top, they would have flopped a little bit.
There was some of that in the air because I thought Santos was going to take. There was going to be another person losing there. Oh, I thought Santos was going to win.
Yo, he came out strong.
He came out good.
He came out
strong. He just did some silly things. Also, it's just, I don't know, like.
I can't think of anything specific he did that was crazy, but I do know that
he was engaging in the grappling when he didn't need to.
Yeah, he didn't need to at all.
He was killing him in space. Killing
him. But Kavanaugh did a really great job of forcing that pressure to make it go to the ground.
Yes. To make him feel like I have to go before you go.
This segment is just going to be calling out all of the ridiculous choices that people made this weekend. Because there was, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there was just a lot of choices that fighters made that, like, you're like, yo, this can't be UFC caliber. This is no, like, Leon Edwards is the next one, right? Like, bro, he just finished mopping you on the ground the round before. And your first thought on this new round, 25 seconds in, is I'm going to shoot for a takedown? What in the world could you possibly be thinking at that moment?
It's no different than when Conor shot for a takedown. Actually, it is a little different.
This is way different.
It's a little different from when Conor shot for a takedown against Nate Diaz. At least Conor got pieced up.
Right.
Leon didn't even let himself get pieced up.
It wasn't even at that point yet. And again, it wasn't like the round before Nate Diaz had just mopped the floor with Conor either. On the ground anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally the round before, Sean Brady mopped the floor with Leon and Edwards,
He also probably got some false confidence in thinking he survived it. He didn't get subbed.
That's crazy. That's, again, wild decisions to make. At UFC level, you can't... And it goes to what you said during the week when we were talking about the fights where, like, you might be 100% right, bro. Leon Edwards was 100% drastically underestimating this fight. And he seems to make that mistake very often. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the same could have been said about the Bilal fight. Yeah, you know what I mean? You underestimate these people, and you're like, bro, these are other professionals.
Soon as I seen the face-off, I was like, I do not like his body language. The same way I didn't like the body language of Carlos Ulberg.
Ulberg and Jan?
Jan was following his eyes, and he did not want to lock eyes with him. And... You saying the theme of the night was more of silly decisions that fighters made? There was some silly decisions that judges made, man. I don't know. What? How you feel about Jan versus Carlos? Who won that fight?
I think everybody lost that fight.
Yeah.
I think the audience lost. I think the judges lost.
That's the thing.
Ulberg lost. Jan lost. Like Dana lost. Dana lost, bro.
It really becomes a coin toss when you feel fighters didn't do enough.
Right, and at this point, it's like, so for me, right, my perspective I've always tried to imagine myself as a judge, right? Because I as much shit as we give judges, I respect the hell out of the job they do. It's a really hard thing to do. Any judge, right? Like, you're critiquing someone else doing something really well versus someone else doing it really well and trying to see who did it better. You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy recipe, bro. You need a better metric for winning things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But with that said, in their position, if my job is to judge a fight and every other factor I've looked at has been equal, I go back to what I always mention about the business decision, right? Like, I got to keep my job, bro. And to keep my job, I got to keep the organization alive. So neither of these bozos did anything this whole fight. If I'm a bet on which one is going to be more valuable to the company moving forward, I got to go younger. Jan's coming off of a 2-year layoff because of shoulder surgery he had after he won. Mm-hmm. He didn't even lose. He won. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at those factors. And unfortunately, this is when like one of my favorite quotes from Juliana Pena, which I'm sure she stole from somebody else, but like I heard her say it. No, it wasn't her. It was her coach who said it to her. Valentina Shevchenko's rival for a while on Tough. They pushed each other. They almost got into an actual fight when they were doing Tough. They were coaches, though. Not Shevchenko, sorry. Joanna.
Was it Joanna? They fought in kickboxing. I don't know if they fought.
No, not she. No, the coach she went up against. Who was the coach? Because she's the one that was coaching Juliana that said it. Or coaching whoever that said it. It wasn't Juliana. She was coach. I'm thinking I mixed up the fighters.
Yeah, you just confused me because Juliana was
whoever was coaching opposite Joanna. That whole messy ass rivalry.
Is it Joanna? So it wasn't Valentina.
It wasn't Valentina. It was Joanna. Remember when Joanna was coaching Tough?
Joanna had, I think she had Carla.
No, not Carla.
Not Carla.
No,
not
Carla.
Esparza, the other Carla, the Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazilian. So she's the one who said it. If you leave it to the judges, they'll make you cry.
Yes.
She was the first person I heard say it, or maybe the first time it really resonated.
No, it's an old quote.
It's definitely old as hell.
That's being put into combat sports.
Yeah, but that, like, when she said it that time, it really resonated. And this is one of those moments where it's like, yo, if you leave it to the judges, they have no choice but to make you cry, especially if you're Jan Blachowicz, because you're 44. You are on the way. You are past the way out for a lot of fighters. You know what I'm saying? So
I didn't even think of it like that, and it's definitely that. I guess
gotta, like, when you got nothing left, you know what I'm saying?
That's just the environment I watched it. I just was like, the whole night the judges were awful. But the big one for me was Mick Parkin losing his O for that.
Now, Mick Parkin, that one I can't even explain, bro, because honestly, if everything I just said has any validity, Mick Parkin wins that fight because he's the London guy. He's but Marcin Tybura has never really not been valuable to the company. You know what I'm saying? He's always kept things interesting for the most part. This fight was sloppy. I don't really like the way Marcin fights. I don't find Mick Parkin super exciting. But either way, it's no denying he got robbed, bro. That was crazy. I
don't put that term out there easily. It's every time I say robbery, it's because I think it's enough that it's like, whoa. And then that was unanimous.
That's the part that made it a robbery for me.
All three of you.
That's the part that made it a robbery for me. If it would have been a split, I would not be saying that.
the opposite of what I saw, which was somebody control him for three plus minutes, and another person get control for 1 minute. Somebody landed 100 or something strikes, the other person landed 60 something strikes. The only thing that we could point out is, like you said, he landed 63 strikes and 61 of them were significant strikes. But Mick Parkin had him hurt at one point. You can't show me a point where
he could have finished the fight in the first round, bro.
He didn't have him hurt.
Nope, at no point.
He never had him hurt.
Nor did he really have him moving on the back foot.
They both got one takedown.
It was a rough
fight in every aspect, and still.
Which then brings us to the constant topic of how do we adjust the things we need to figure out for wrestling? Because now you look at a fight like this and you go, oh, okay, so control time doesn't mean anything. Like, because there's no bigger metric on the board. Like, again, you point out Mick Parkins had 101 strikes, right? 60 of them were significant. Tybura had 64 strikes. 61 were significant. Tybura punched him in the face more times, like more valuable times, right? Like, that's what we're measuring. But does that outweigh getting controlled on the ground for 2 minutes? Right? Like, is that... even as someone who doesn't like control time as a measurement, I can't argue if somebody got you on the ground for 2 minutes, bro, the only thing that saved you is that someone said, all right, time to get up. Because if not, you're not really going to get up from here, and I promise you the person on the bottom is getting tired way faster than the person on top.
And that, it's just so weird. Sometimes they judge it one way, and another time judge it another way. Yeah, granted, it's different people, but if you follow these same judges, some of it's gonna look criminal. I promise you.
Bro, the judges themselves don't make the same consistent decisions.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? So it looks
We
bad.
will quickly be looking for their fan duels and
Hilarious.
all that kind of stuff. Like, it's...
Yo, but you know, it's unfortunate to say that, but like, at least 50 or so people get booked a year. You know what I'm saying? From companies for doing that. You know what I mean? For insider trading in any type of situation. Right? And I'm throwing 50 as a number out there because I've literally done zero research on this. I'm just assuming. Like, bro, you put 100 people in a room, 2 of them are gonna try to finagle the bagel, bro. They're gonna try to find a way to make more than they should be making. So yeah, that's my assumption. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I would not be surprised if
I'm not trying to
50 people.
incriminate people.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes they're just not paying attention, probably. Like,
Right.
are they allowed to be on their phone? Sometimes
that would be nuts, bro. If a judge scored a decision crazy
because
he was on TikTok.
Twice. Sometimes I gotta watch the fight twice, and I'm not expecting them to see what I see on a second viewing, a third viewing. I understand they watched it live,
right?
And maybe you even question their seating.
No, that's exactly what I was about to dispute before you even went there. They have the same angle we have. Because they have the screen in front of them. So each of the judges' boxes has his own screen.
But what are they actually paying attention to when they're there?
I think it's a back and forth thing.
I mean...
But in a back and forth situation, you're probably going to get more information than we are. Right? Because you're hearing the actual... Like, when you're judging significant strikes, we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, he reacted, right? Like, that's usually the first way we look at significant strikes, right? The judges could be looking at it like, yo, how loud was that hit? Because that is also a significant thing. You know what I'm saying? If somebody punches you in the temple, just because you didn't react doesn't mean that was not a loud-ass punch, bro.
When you hear that loud pop, which we see when we watch the Apex fights, we hear it.
That could sway things.
But
they're still not consistent, so I don't know.
But we're just giving it different
layers. Like, I'm showing you every possible perspective. Yeah, like, but give me one judge that picks one perspective and stays consistent.
We're not gonna spit on you when you're down and kick you in your face, but we're gonna still call you out when it's weird. That's just...
Like I said, one judge, one perspective, consistently, and I will be satisfied, bro. Just give me one person who's just regular, like, yeah, I like striking, not a big fan of grappling, I will respect control time, but yes, you will perform better if I see you striking. And like, word, understood.
And going back to the main event, what I saw was just basically, Leon he has a huge gap in his game. And because he survived 4 rounds with Usman and got a head kick, it might have given him some false confidence. And I question his reign because I just feel like there were some young pups that weren't getting opportunities because people not wanting to book fights against them. At that point, it was a Hamza Shemaya. And
but Hamza was still super down in the rankings.
100%. But the fact that it took, what did we do when Gilbert took the fight? Respect. He took the fight. Because why is that? Because a lot of people was turning it down.
Yeah, but you talking about 2 years later almost.
No, 100%. I'm just talking about how slow things was moving in welterweight, I'm not just highlighting Hamza. I'm also highlighting Shafkat. They dealt with the same thing.
But that's what I'm saying. You can only point to that looking back on it now. You can say that because at that time, Shavkat wasn't who he is now. At that 100%. Time, Shavkat didn't have the win streak he has now because of the time that's 100%. Passed. So
I'm just saying his trajectory has been slowed down, and it's gonna have an effect on his career.
I don't think it's been slowed down at all.
I think so.
He's been in the UFC 4 years.
I also think he should have been champion about a year ago.
That's cool, bro. That's a fan perspective. There's mad guys on there that have that can make the same argument.
It's one thing to say it as a fan, because it's not like he's my favorite fighter. It's just when you see him, it's like, compared to everybody else, I'm like, the eye test tells me he beats this guy too. And it's been a while now.
As somebody who was on the Shavkat side against Gary, that was not a dominant fight for 100%. Me to be like, oh yeah, 100%. Shavkat is this great. 100%. Like,
but when you find out what injuries he was dealing with, you respect that he did what Armin did not. At that, at least.
Nah, because Armin was fighting for the belt. That's a bigger opportunity to miss.
I agree, but it was also the fight for a title eliminator,
which didn't matter because you were injured anyway, so you were gonna have another injury, which led to you not getting the title shot regardless.
I think he was probably trying to be strategic in the sense of, hey, if I win this fight, maybe Bilal would wait till after Ramadan, and maybe he'd be.
But why would he do that? Bilal's being strategic too.
But at the same time, it sucks.
I'm gonna fight Shavkat. You want to fight? Let's fight.
The UFC was in a position where they can't reward him, but he did everything that they talk about just doing your job.
Yeah, but like I said, he's been in the UFC 4 years. So what you're counting, part of that was the beginning of his career, and part of that beginning, Leon was where Shavkat was. Nobody wanted to fight him. Nobody wanted to give him a shot, and then he finally got his shot and he won.
Yeah, Leon,
so it's like
Leon had it, but at the same time, Leon was turning down fights too.
Yeah, he was turning down fights from people that were ranked way beneath him. That there's no value for him. He was in Movsar's position, which again, I defend, bro. Like you can stand on your laurels and say, bro, I am next. I don't understand how I keep getting skipped.
It just becomes problematic when it goes for so long that now they're like, dude.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not.
And then he had to book against Hamzat.
But it's not your fault.
He had to book against Hamzat, and I forgot. I think they booked like 3 times. Those 3.
Who?
Those 2.
Movsar?
Hamzat Chimaev versus Leon Edwards. I think they booked about 3 times.
Nah, they never got that booked. They kept talking about it.
Oh, they booked it. I promise you they booked it. I seen 3 different posters.
Nah, bro, those were not real. No way.
They booked the fight and it fell through. I remember that's when Leon fought Bilal and it was an eye poke.
Bilal was the short notice fight?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Well, it was an eye poke.
Either way, that's again like I said, you everything you're saying about Shavkat is exactly where Leon was when Shavkat started. So to say Shavkat should have been getting pushed when how you literally skipping all of Leon. You know what I'm saying?
That's where it's interesting with WWE and UFC. And the WWE they have all the reins of pushing this star. They're like, oh, he's a star. We can't wait, and he's ready for it. Let's go. As opposed to in UFC, Dana has to get these guys to agree to fights, and some of these older fighters, once they get certain prestige, they don't want to take fights
because it's not worth it. Again, you're speaking to the value of Hamzat now and saying, they should have took that fight then because look at who he is. But it's like, but he wasn't that then. So you can't tell me to take that fight back then.
Wasn't he? I think he
wasn't, bro. He had 3 wins against unranked fighters, bro. What was most impressive about him was that he fought 3 times in like a month. But again, you fought 3 unranked fighters on short notice. Yeah. Cool. Fight somebody who's ranked. Oh, all of a sudden he can't make weight. He's getting sick. All this shit is happening. Like that's what happened with Hamzat, bro.
COVID cooked him, and that's really why he can't make the weight no more.
Right. So but
that's what scares me about for Shavkat, that he's getting older, and how long before he can make 170.
I think Shavkat is gonna be fine at 170 for a while, bro. He's not even 30 yet.
No, but he's getting older, and he's
when they're talking young, crazy, bro. What? That's crazy.
He's also a big boy, bro. He's not small.
He's chilling, bro. Look at the way he eats. That's his natural body weight, bro. He's not cutting a lot of weight.
Word, they put me on eating deer, man.
That boy eats horse, deer, everything, bro.
I've eaten deer like 3 times now, bro. Fire hibachi.
Deer goes crazy, bro. Hibachi deer is different.
What's it called again?
Venison?
Venison.
Mm-hmm.
Venison.
Some good stuff right there. But speaking about the welterweight division, right, since we're all chalked up in here, let's talk about the end of an era, right? Because like I was just addressing, what you're talking about is the beginning of a new era, Shavkat. Leon is the end of an actual era, bro. 100%. He is, with his loss now, that makes the last 5 heavyweights. Last 5 welterweights of the old guard, 0-11.
Brother, the game passed.
That's
part of my point. Like the game passed those guys, and
it's over.
They might have held the belt longer because they were recycling fights. The same guys were fighting for the belt. If it wasn't a Leon versus a Usman versus a Jorge twice, Usman versus a Covington twice, Leon versus a Covington once, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Who did Usman fight before Covington, though?
Before Covington? I believe he knocked out Jorge.
No, who was his first title defense?
His first title,
because he had 6 defenses.
Won the belt versus he won the belt versus what's his name, Woodley, and I don't remember who he fought next.
He defended against Woodley, didn't he?
No,
they didn't do the rematch.
I don't believe so.
Jorge couldn't have been right after Woodley.
We gotta look that up because
Jorge couldn't have been after Woodley, bro. Jorge was not ranked.
No, Jorge was not after Woodley.
Yeah, no way.
Because Woodley was coming off of beating like Darren Tilts, so like this is a while back.
That's what I mean. Like you're saying they were recycling opponents as if like he didn't have a ton of opponents that these guys didn't fight.
I named about 6 fights right there. Because there was multiple fights.
But these are you wouldn't say would you say that about Max Holloway, Volk, and Brian Ortega?
Gilbert was also involved in that. So he fought Covington after he he knocked out Covington.
Yeah.
Then he fought Jorge. Then he fought Gilbert. Like Gilbert's the other one.
Yeah.
But like that's
Jorge.
one.
Right. That's a
lot of fights between 3 people.
Yeah, but Woodley had gone, bro.
No, I'm not talking about Woodley. Woodley,
and then
Woodley,
but
the problem with Woodley
also,
is his next fight after that.
But also, when you do this type of math, you then got to start going into who did the guys that he has to cycle through beat, right? Because Jorge got a rematch after he got a different fight. It wasn't like he just got an immediate rematch. You know what I'm saying? All of these people didn't get immediate rematches. So who were they beating? Jorge
was also rewarded because he took the first fight.
The first fight on super short
2 weeks notice.
Yeah. Right.
2 weeks notice.
Right.
He took that fight. Jorge is known to be a
200 pounds. And that was also a reward because he was the BMF at the time.
Yes.
So
yes,
we're talking about like people who have a legacy that they've created. This is why we're cycling through.
When you think about it, the BMF has a pretty decent legacy. People have got title shots after, and Justin Gaethje won the belt and just fought Max Holloway instead of going for the title.
Yeah, he was the first person to defend.
He's the first person to defend it and not going for the title. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons why, circle back to last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, when I said that Gaethje is a fighter 2 away. Like, they can sell a big win out of Gaethje to get him a title shot.
I don't even think he needs a big win. I think from what he's already done, he's in a position where he could end up in a title shot just based on the way the rankings are screwed right now.
True.
And that's what I was saying as far as like.
I just mean like any little wow factor. He rematches Max and wins at 155.
But does he have to?
No, I'm just
saying. He might not even have to.
Yeah. He will.
I don't think so.
He will. He will have to fight somebody.
I think
because there's a Oliveira saying he wants a title shot or a title eliminator fight. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to fight Ilya if it's not a title eliminator fight or for the title. And Ilya's saying he just wants a title shot. He believes he deserves it. Who else is involved? Arman just gave up a title shot because he didn't show up with the injury.
Arman versus Justin is the only person that would make sense. But again, Justin's in a reward position. Arman's in a punishment position. So UFC isn't making that fight. You understand? Like this is why I'm saying like where Justin is right now career-wise, not just like fight block-wise, but like career-wise, right? It doesn't make a ton of sense.
I'm not sure they wouldn't book that fight. I just think that they do want to build up Ilya. Although they don't want to give him the shot right off the bat. They probably want to give him the shot off the bat, and Islam is the one saying he has to do something. I'm not about to beat somebody and get no credit for it.
Right. Get another 155er in here. Mm-hmm. Stephen Thompson is among the list of people who are 0-11. So Stephen Thompson, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, all of them combined have lost their last 2 fights, with one of them losing 3. Usman, I think, lost 3.
I'm not disrespecting Usman's legacy. I just think towards the end, he was hitting the decline and fighting the same guys. While it doesn't really it doesn't elevate you when you're fighting the same guys.
Right.
As opposed to if you would have been in there with a young pup that might have brought different things to the game, like something these leg kicks that are big now. Any little thing these guys don't do. They don't do it. It's the end of an era. The way they used to fight is not the same.
It's funny to hear you say that because it makes me feel like you feel completely opposite about Molly McCann's retirement.
I told you I feel completely opposite because bringing it back to WWE, we have fighters like Seth Rollins now and before Mike the Miz who have their legacy and they take time where they're putting other people over. And while it's hard to tell Molly, hey, we need you because you're a gatekeeper to a certain extent and you're such a star, you put eyes on these people when they beat you. But we believe in you to get you wheel off 2-3 wins. We're going to still push you. It's just that it's delicate because you lose 3 straight fights and people are debuting against you and subbing you in the first round.
That's not a good look.
It's not a good look, but what if this girl turns out to be a future title contender?
I still don't think that's enough, bro. Because
I get it because it's a long process.
Nah, it's because what I was actually thinking is, and this is what I was saying as far as like from what you were saying about the end, what I was talking about the end of an era, right? It's like whether she becomes great or not, right? She's introduced Molly to a new era of fighters that Molly might not be able to keep up with. So do you want to watch her start fighting and then end up in positions?
Yes, you had a great counter in that with we were talking about. Do you want to see? Do you want
to see that? Like, is she really gonna get a title shot
out there?
Right?
And do you really care for this fighter if you're willingly putting her out there to probably get destroyed by these people that are catching up to her?
And then with Molly's star power, even if we say wildest best case scenario, she becomes champion in 3 fights, right? Are we seeing Molly as champion fighting against new blood? Or are we seeing lineups of fights that we've been dying to see Molly in and we just never got them?
No, see things like what happened with Usman, Edwards, Jorge, and Covington happened on accident. You can't stage it. This ain't the WWE, which we sometimes wish we could.
But I think the women's divisions, and I hope none of the women watching fillet me for this, but I think the women's divisions have a little bit more cattiness to them that leads to those circles of life. Like you have this example in the women's division with Amanda Nunes.
Well, that's the thing.
Like when she had to cycle through certain people just because of rivalries and conversations. Like
the state of the women's division. If Molly wheels off 3 wins in less than 12 months, you could easily sell a championship fight for her.
Yeah, but then we stop pushing younger cats.
You could easily try to push this BMF belt that they've talked about. I don't know that I would put
Molly's women's BMF, no way.
I don't know that I would put Molly up there in the BMF.
I love Molly, but no way. I love Meatball, but no way.
But if she were to bounce back from these losses and do something like that, we can have that conversation. I'm not saying. I don't. When I look at her, I do not think BMF. There's some girls who I do think that, and it's like we talked about.
But
it's only a handful.
That was my point before we started recording, where it's like, bro, when you say that, you're fully acknowledging none of this is for Molly.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, you're literally saying, yo, Molly, I just need you and the star power you've created to finish letting me create this other thing without that I'm not going to need you for. Right? Because I don't realistically see, as much as I love Molly, in 3 fights, there's no roulette of lineup that I look at where I'm like, yeah, she wins those 3 fights and becomes champion. There's other movement happening around her while she's winning these 3 fights that might not be enough. And in her case, it's not going to be enough. You're coming off of 3 losses.
It's not going to be enough. But
and also when we talk about Molly's star power,
we obviously want her to be around.
Right.
And the only thing that will ever make sense is if Dana can make her ambassador of some UK form of like developing fighters.
Nah, bro, you had a way better idea than that before we started rolling. Bro, this one I'm gonna steal a playbook from your world of television, the reality series space, you feel me?
Say it.
We need Tough UK, bro.
I love it.
That's
I love
genius,
it.
bro.
No, I
Tough
love it.
UK,
No, I love it.
Molly McCann with another coach used the new formula where the coaches don't have to fight each other like DC and Chael, right? We get Molly. Bro, we could, if they go this new direction of coaches not having to fight each
Well, the
other,
thing is-
we could even get intergender coaching. We can get Amanda Nunes coaching versus John Jones and see who creates the better fighter. You know how crazy of an episode that is, bro?
Yeah, because it's not. Because at the end of the day, it's not really Molly versus whoever this is. It's Molly's camp. You're gonna get Patty. You're gonna get Nathan
And that shit
Fletcher.
will be fire, bro.
It's really a battle of camps, which is why they should just probably bring it back to Black Zillions versus ATT.
So if Tough converts to being just US or just America,
but she's definitely
right?
somebody
And
that
a UK,
the UFC's gonna want to keep around because she's such a big star.
bro. Tough UK is the move, bro. I'm telling you, Tough America. Right, we got original Tough just covers America. Then we got Tough UK, which covers all of that, like that side, like Tough Europe. Call it Tough Europe, bro. This way we get India, we get the Asia.
love it all.
Boom, bro. That shit'll go bananas.
I love all those ideas because she's one of those people that pushes the needle. Like, she moves the needle, bro.
She moves the needle.
It's-
I mean, at least out there. I don't know how big of a fan base she has
I
out
mean,
here.
listen, when Patty first came up, we were looking at him as he's not gonna be high level, but he's a star.
Superstar.
So
And he ended up being high level.
And well, listen,
He's going up
can't-
against
you
Chandler,
can't
bro.
you can't tell me the Patty we've seen last fight was the same we saw 2 fights ago, or even before that. He's getting better, bro.
He's way better.
He's getting so much
getting
better.
way better.
So
That's not
much
even up
better.
for debate. Patty's growth has been exponential. Like, I didn't expect him to be as good as he is right now.
no.
You know what I'm saying? I thought he was gonna be good, but like this is way better. All right, so speaking of exciting upcoming stuff, I don't know how exciting this new card is gonna be. There are a couple names that I'm gonna be watching just because I'm interested in their
Listen.
careers, but I don't necessarily know if it's gonna be exciting.
Before you continue on that, I also wanted to ask you. So, who do you want to see Sean Brady against next?
Honestly, I really want to see the rematch with him and Bilal. Like, that's really the biggest fight that I'm focused on. So whatever it takes to get him there, make it happen. But I just want to see that rematch.
What's the fight that gets him there?
I think anything. Anybody he fights above him gets him there.
His best.
If he has to. If he has to.
His best chance is to be active. While Shafkat's out, just be active
Right.
and make them forget about him.
Make the fight with either Leon or with
But I think it's Eon or Eon. Is Ian or Buck? I think those are the fights that are exciting.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Ian
Those
or
are the
Buck.
ones that are
I
exciting
said
enough
Leon.
to, like, if you win big, you can stamp the approval like, oh, maybe you did need a rematch. Maybe it was an off night, and this kid could be undefeated right now.
2 off nights. Maybe you got to stop fighting in the UK, bro.
No, it could have been an off night when he lost to Bilal. When he got knocked out. That was in the UK.
Oh, you talking about Brady?
Yeah, Brady, because he would have been.
No, it was definitely an off night, bro.
He has one loss in his
like,
career.
I don't think he needs to prove that any further, bro. He went on to submit Kevin Gastelum the next fight. He went on to go to unanimous decision against Gilbert Burns right after that. He then went on to submit Leon Edwards, something that Bilal couldn't do. I think we're clear, bro. The only thing he needs to do to prove that that fight was a fluke was to fight Bilal.
Bilal doesn't submit anybody.
That's the only thing he can do to really do anything with that. What else we got on this? Lupi Godinez.
Hold on. There was a follow-up to that.
Oh, my God, bro. You're in the
Leon.
wrong section for it. We're already in 50 minutes,
So
bro.
What do we do with Leon?
I honestly don't care about Leon. Leon, like, we're not. No, we talked about Leon. He's part of the old guard, bro. That's it. I don't care.
But there's one more fight for him.
Wait, make it whatever you want. Any welterweight coming up.
It's only one fight for him.
Who do you want to see him fight? Just say who you want for him to fight, bro.
MVP?
Hell no. I want to see MVP versus Usman before I see that.
It's going to be MVP versus him.
That's a fight for the UK, bro. It's not that interesting.
They're going to do it.
They're gonna do it, but it's not interesting.
I think that's going to be his last fight.
Nah. I think he'll have another fight after that if he's still gonna keep fighting. But that fight is in the bag, bro.
It's
not
going
even
to be his last fight because
and
I
it's
think
not.
MVP beats him.
And also, like, if you're asking what should be next for Leon Edwards, it shouldn't be that. That fight doesn't mean anything. It's just a show fight. Like, that doesn't get you closer to the belt. It does nothing, bro. Like, you fought MVP. Great. MVP hasn't done anything great. He lost to Ian Gary. You saying you beating the guy that Ian Gary beat is valuable?
I think Ian Gary beats him now, too.
But that's what I mean. Like, that's not Leon Edwards versus MVP is just a fight that's going to happen. I don't think it's not good for Leon. Like, it's good UK-wise. And now with this loss that he has on his belt, like, it'll be a good a good co-main. But co-main, if Leon is done with his title if he's done with his title aspirations.
I'm sorry, they fight night fighters. Fight night 5-rounders.
Nah, co-main on the Tom Aspinall defense.
No, they just that week event just broke a record in the UK. Give them a good one, which would be those two, and they main event it. That's it. You don't even have to sell the undercards too crazy with that firepower. The UK is a fight town. You give them you versus me, they'll watch it. They'd watch it, bro.
I don't know.
They'd watch it.
I don't know.
They might start booing us, but they're gonna watch it. I'm telling you, bruh. The UK.
They don't. Bro, there's so many other places that sell way more than the UK.
No, but it's just for them. Leon's probably got like 1 or 2 fights in his contract. See his champion the way out correctly. He's never been an active guy. I could see him taking a year off to do it.
Bro, you have the wildest narrative, bro.
Wow.
Like, I can't wait to look back on how you talk about Shavkat, bro. Because literally, Shavkat and Leon had the same exact career, bro. But I'm not going to get into that now, bro. Like, they literally both were on a 10-fight win streak when they said, hey, I don't have to fight anybody else because there's no other real contenders. Then Ian Gary made himself a contender because the Bilal fight fell through. That's it. They're in the same exact position. For whatever reason, your memory is telling you Leon was like ducking fights or something.
They won fights differently. No. It was once Leon got the number one contender, and he wasn't fighting for the title for whatever reason. I don't remember what it was.
Because Usman didn't want to fight him because he already beat him.
I know, but he was probably like injured or something. Oh yeah,
No, Usman didn't want to fight him because he beat him already. He was actively saying he didn't want to fight Edwards.
But I feel like he had just finished.
That's why I'm saying I don't know how that narrative got so crazy for you around Edwards, bro.
He had just finished fighting. And he was like, he can't just sit there and think that he's gonna get the title, and he didn't fight anybody. Well, he could have just fought anybody on the same card. And that's how you hunt down a champion.
Okay, so what's your defense for Shavkat? Shavkat could have fought anybody on the card. He said no to Buckley.
When? Oh, you mean with Ian?
No, with Shavkat. Literally, Shavkat had to sit out for a year because he's saying nobody wanted to fight him. Above him, people beneath him were saying they wanted to fight him. So you're saying the same thing for Leon, bro. Leon was ranked 3.
There's no reason to.
Leon was ranked 3. If I'm ranked 3 and I'm undefeated, why do I have to fight again just because the champ is saying he doesn't want to fight me because he beat me once?
Not undefeated, but yeah.
Well, on a 10-fight win streak, my bad.
I think it's just the gaps in his fights that make it look bad.
Bro, it's okay to say you're a fan of Shavkat, bro. Like, I'm a fan of Shavkat. Let that out, bro. Let that out. It's cool.
I like Leon Edwards when he fights, but sometimes he looks disengaged.
It's cool. Christian Rodriguez versus can we move on, or are you still stuck in this?
Who's Christian fighting now? Because
Melky Costa. Is he gonna be able to do it again? Stop another prospect again? I hope not, because I'm a big fan of Melky.
Yeah, I like
the other 2 prospects. Raul Rodriguez. Raul. Raul.
I can't remember who was after.
Holy shit, Raul Rosas. I messed up. Raul Rosas. I was a fan of, but not as big of a fan as I am of Melky. So I'm really hoping that Christian is not genuinely the youngest gatekeeper of all time, bro. This dude transitioned from prospect to gatekeeper overnight, bro.
But he's still a prospect. He just keeps landing these fights.
I don't know if you could say landing these fights, bro, at this point. This is the 4th one back-to-back, bro.
This one is a more veteran fighter, though.
I guess Melky's a little bit more seasoned.
He's more seasoned than all of them.
Yeah, Melky's definitely more seasoned, for sure.
It's definitely a step up.
For
maybe not
Christian?
in hype. Maybe not in hype. Raul Rosas had the most hype. But it's
fight-wise?
But it's a step up in like competition in the sense that
At the time that he fought Raul, yeah.
Raul was green as hell.
Yeah,
but
for
you would
sure.
think it would jump.
For
It would make him jump up in considerations for like a ranked opponent. Maybe he's not ready for it and he don't want it. I don't know.
I guess we're gonna find out. But I know for sure that I'm going with Melky on that one.
Yeah,
That's my guy.
me too.
That's my
Me
guy.
too. Me too. Just because of styles.
CJ Vergara versus Edgar Shirez. Now, for those who don't remember Edgar Shirez, he put on a hell of a show at the Sphere. There you go.
The thing about the Sphere, anybody that fought there, you tell me, I know they put on a show because they put on a show. They fought.
He put on a show.
That event was.
That shit was.
Wow.
Amazing.
They done told us shut up and just watch.
That was the one against Joshua Van.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. That was a crazy war, bro. Those guys went to war.
Joshua Van ended up winning, right?
No, he lost.
That's the one he lost?
Yeah,
okay,
lost.
So yeah, okay.
So Shirez versus Vergara should be just as interesting, but I don't think Vergara has the chin left to survive what Shirez is bringing, so it won't last long, but it'll be exciting.
If he beat Joshua Van, even though Joshua Van has been very
one. Yo, is there a Mexican holiday or are they just like perfectly spaced out? Because we got my son Ronaldo Rodriguez. You cannot forget his performance at the Sphere because there were numerous times where I feel like the ref should have stopped the fight. And somehow he survived and won.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. He's coming up against Kevin Brujas.
That had to be like one of the comebacks of the whole year. Like,
yeah, I don't think that comeback gets enough credit, bro.
Yeah,
like he was really dying.
Like, he was whipping like
bro,
in the choke and got out of it and come back and win. Nah,
crazy. So he's going up against Kevin Brujas. I don't know a ton about Kevin Brujas.
Is that not the kid that fought? They got signed to fight Sean O'Malley, or Sean O'Malley murdered him. They might have brought him back. I think that might be him. Click on him, see if it's...
Is that? No way.
He looks like him, and name seems familiar like that.
Nah. His last fight...
No, but it wouldn't be his last fight.
Was UFC 301. He fought Van before that. Nah.
No, so it might have been from Joshua Van. So yeah, I recognize him. If he fought Joshua Van recently.
Yeah, he fought Joshua Van.
That's probably where I recognize him.
So that was... Then, after that... We got, speak of the man himself, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. I think this should go Raul Rosas Jr.'s way, but we've seen him, crumble under pressure before, so there's levels to this business. It's crazy because I do still see a huge trajectory for Raul Rosas Jr. to getting a championship route. I just don't know if he's going to do it with the record he was trying to set, as far as doing it faster than John
really good at things.
Right.
But there's things where he's very amateur at.
You could tell he's young. That's really what it comes down to. Like you haven't existed long enough to get the experience you need to be this good.
The same way I think Chael was breaking down that there's a secret with Leon and it's not safe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's holes in Raul Rojas' game that are like significant enough that nothing's gonna be sure with him until we see those things, those gaps like start.
I think his prodigy era was phased out very quick by Christian Rodriguez. Because if he would have won that fight, we wouldn't be talking this way. Because the prodigy would still be. We wouldn't be able to explain it, but we'd be like, yo, he's still, because he hasn't lost since.
But if he would have lost to somebody that's name held more weight, it would have been a little bit different because you'd have been like, he's young. But the guy he fought was young also, so that's what it is. I think that's one of the things that like kind of kills his prospect. That is like when Max Holloway was going at it with Brian Ortega. Not like going at it because they were very respectful, but he's like everybody's talking about all these records of him. Like I'm younger than him, and I've done that twice. So it's one of those things that like you can't be a prospect and then somebody's like you're younger than you, and then beats you is like, nah, he's the prospect.
Nah, Raul was the youngest.
Yeah, I know Raul's like 3 years younger than him, but it's so close that it's like.
Yeah. But Christian Rodriguez was already in the UFC 3 fights in, so he did have more.
He is more age. He was more seasoned.
You know what I mean, Kevin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer, I guess.
But it's one of those things that you're just not younger than me enough that I'm like, oh, I'm getting behind the younger guy.
And then we got the main event. Brandon Moreno, Steve Erceg. I don't know.
Does this fight have any chance of somebody leapfrogging Kai Kovratz?
No.
So this is
Because
what
both of these guys already
is-
lost to Pantoja,
this is
and
what's
Kai
killing
hasn't.
me. This is what's killing me about the flyweight division right now.
What's that?
It's a lot of movement going on that there's either false promises being given or maybe they're making things up because nobody really knows who's next in line and who's next to fight for who's in line. They're just fighting because they want to be active.
I think it's a combination of wanting to be active and a combination of activity gives you value.
And they're jockeying for position, but
Right.
but their position is literally like you and me in the shoulder here and somebody with right there.
And that's why these fights have to happen, because now it comes to, okay, Pantoja went to decision versus Erceg, right? So now, Moreno, you lost to Pantoja via decision. Can you finish Erceg? Because if you finish Erceg, maybe you're a fight away from the title again, from that rematch, right? But that rematch is going to be your third time fighting this guy. Do we want to see you fight him a third time? Mm-hmm. And this is what I was trying to say around the Molly thing, right? It's like, yes, this fighter could be doing this, but all these other fighters are doing these other things. So now, does the audience want to see Moreno, Pantoja 3? Or does the audience want to see Pantoja champion from 1 to prove UFC is the better organization and you've been spending your money in the right place? I want to see that, bro. Convince me that I've been buying the right pay-per-views. Because if the 1 champion comes over here and washes this dude, I mean, it looks like I might have to start spending some money over there.
I understood the booking immediately.
You know?
Especially when the way the state of the flyweight division is, that Pantoja is not a big enough star, but he's doing things that are getting close to DJ.
Yeah. And it's like star power plays such a heavy role in the whole thing that it's, what does it mean, right? Like if Pantoja, and unfortunately, I genuinely hate that this is a real thing, but it is what it is. You just got to accept it. If Pantoja starts speaking cleaner English, his star value goes up tremendously, bro.
Does it? Because DJ wasn't a big star either.
DJ wasn't a big star because he wasn't good on the mic. You just saw his Hall of Fame speech.
Stop it.
Bro, DJ's the worst on the mic. I don't even understand how he has a Twitch channel, bro. He is the worst. Well, actually, I do, because he's the worst on the microphone. He's mad emotional.
But he does good on like his podcast.
Because he's so emotional, he can give you that raw reaction, that feeling through the camera.
He kept cracking. That was.
But bro, my son sounded like a bird. I think that shit was crazy. And to see his face, though, it's really his face, bro, because it's him catching himself do it and trying to man up and like, nah, bro, that ain't happening. That ain't happening.
Cracking.
And then he tried to do it.
Like,
I love DJ, man. He's so wholesome, bro.
I think we gave enough for this week, but I wanted to throw in there, we got at least 5 minutes to talk about this, though, bro. Cain Velasquez is now sentenced.
Oh, yeah, that just happened before we started rolling, bro. That's crazy. Sentenced to 5 years for attempted murder. So it's crazy, bro, because, like, it's wild, bro, because there's no part of me that's like, yeah, 5 years feels right. Like, nah, man.
It feels crazy.
I think I'm of the belief, pedophiles and rapists and molesters can be unalived.
Which would have been his intent. The problem was that he didn't get who he wanted to.
Right.
That's the real problem. It's the real problem.
But nonetheless, definitely some wishes out to his family. Damn, that reminds me, I gotta call Avi. But yeah, man, it's unfortunate because we live in a world where we all understand things that are wrong and things like things that are wrong in like the most evil, vile way, right? But like there are certain behaviors that even in response to something wrong, they're still wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part of it that sucks. Where it's like, yo, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And it's also the dangers in why it's not right for you to go shoot the person that molested the little girl, because you might just hit him and the bullet go through and you hit this innocent person.
Right.
You might just miss him and hit an innocent person.
Which is a complicated topic because it doesn't change for police. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like them showing up to try to deal with the problem. Like, it's messy.
And you can also, then it gets messy when you talk about how they react when a person looks a certain way.
Right.
And Cain Velasquez is a big Mexican
Scary
fighter.
looking dude, bro. It's a scary looking dude.
So like,
I wouldn't want to see him in my
is he
neighborhood.
getting 5 years because of that?
Honestly, though, I think the 5 years, I don't know a shit ton about law, but I watch a shit ton of law stuff because it's just fun. But I think the 5 years might actually be the gift. You know what I'm saying? That might be the, like, we can't let you completely off the hook, but we understand everything that you're dealing with and everything you stand for. So we're going to give you the minimum. Like, I got to read more into it. Like I said, it broke right before we got in.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the minimum.
It's probably like 5 years, 4 years probation, or 5 years, 3 years house arrest, or like something like that because of who he is.
I thought there was, I thought there was moving towards house arrest, which is why he was so active in the gyms lately.
Yeah, which would still be a guilty verdict. You know what I'm saying? So that's still a possibility. That's why I want to, like, once I read into it, like, we'll probably talk more about it next week.
Yeah, I never thought he'd be found innocent because the truth is,
man, if we would have got my boy Cain ASAP's lawyer, he would have been straight, bro.
Maybe he would have been found innocent for the attempted murder and more dangerous and reckless and whatever, that kind of one of those charges. Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. We get my boy ASAP's lawyer in there, bro. The ASAP lawyer, boy, get in there.
Talk about
Cain coming out free, bro.
How about Young Thugs?
Cain coming out free.
But Young Thug's lawyer, he probably was the one doing.
Young Thug's lawyer didn't do nothing, bro.
Yeah.
It was the prosecutors that messed that all up. Like, the prosecutor got caught having. That was the judge got caught flirting with Thug too, bro. Like, bro, it was a mess. That trial was crazy.
I remember the judge from ASAP that definitely was flirting with his mom.
No, but before that, the woman judge that Thug had.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, a woman thug, a woman judge.
Thug, yeah, the woman thug, bro. I think that wraps it up for this week, folks.
I don't follow none of that stuff, so I'll take your word for it. But
I didn't say the woman thug, so you made that up.
No, 100%. That's why I said I'll take your word for it. But the one thing that I did see was definitely the judge saying, "That's not your mom."
That was gangster too. That was gangster too. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning into the Main Event FightCast. We will check you guys out next week. If you want to follow me at What Up Vega, follow Mike at SF Big Mike.
Yes, sir.
That's that.
Holler.